Hello, anime addicts. Here we are with you again for another podcast to help you get through whatever boring thing you're doing. I imagine it's working or scuba diving or maybe it's grocery shopping. But, 11 years later and 545 episodes, we're still here for you, just like you've been here for us every step of the way. And if you want to continue supporting the podcast, we can always use your help. Things aren't always cheap, and we're running a podcast. So you can head over to aaapodcast.com/join or Patreon. When you do so, you'll get all the hentai episodes, all the hobby addicts, and all the after party episodes you can handle. Lots of Baldur's Gate 3 talk today on hobby addicts, and maybe a little live watch of Peter Grill in the hentai episode later on. But if you would just simply like to donate to the podcast and don't want to subscribe, you can go over to our website as well. Again, it's aaapodcast.com. If you don't have any money to throw our way, we don't care. We still love you. You're still a valued anime addict, and we appreciate all of you that listen. And with that, let's start the podcast.
You're listening to the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Take your anime addiction to the next level at aaapodcast.com/join. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 545 of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. We are still here. You can't get rid of us. Older than time, steady as a rock. I am Mitsugi, joining you with an orange monster. Oh, it's so good. I'm going to pour it into a mason jar full of ice. And while I do that, Mandi is going to tell you what's up.
Hi, guys. I'm here. I have coffee. And we're the podcast where, if you kill us, we'll just come right back. We'll just come right back to life to screw everything up for you again.
We also have...
start the episode again from zero, perhaps.
Oh!
Yeah.
I don't want to die.
We are joking about ReZero. For those who don't know.
Oh my goodness. The leaves are starting to change colors, and it's starting to become fall, and I love it, and it fills me with determination. So I'm excited to be here today.
What are you determined for?
This entire audio broadcast. I'm so excited to talk about everything.
Guys, after all this time, we are still dedicated to making your anime addiction worse. Thank you so much for tuning in on Twitch. Live every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. We have a beautiful audience of you to stare at my shiny bald head while I drink this orange monster. It's delightful. So head over to twitch.tv/AAA podcast Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern to watch us live. And, of course, we're on Facebook. You can join our Facebook community. The Discord, I mean, not much else needs to be said about the Discord. Great community, very large. It's got to be around 2,000 people. And we're going to give you all kinds of details about what's going on the Discord at the end of the podcast today. But we do have a special update that we want to give you here before we get rolling. So, Mason, what's going on with the pumpkin carving contest?
It's still a thing, just your weekly reminder that deadline is October 31st, Halloween Day itself, to submit your anime-themed pumpkin to our thing. There's tons of prizes. I think there's even other places that are doing pumpkin carving contests. I know Anime NYC, I think Anime News Network. I think there's tons of places. So, carve one great pumpkin. You can submit it to all of them. So,
oh man,
that's what I'm doing.
We'll take
Copy
any
me.
submission, and we'll have prizes as well. If you submit it through Twitter, use the hashtag AAA Pumpkins. Give it to us on Facebook, on Discord, however you want to send it to us. We would appreciate it. So I'm excited to see those.
Honestly, guys,
just do it!
Just do it. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's Halloween, one time a year. You're going to look back at this moment 55 years from now. You're going to be on your deathbed. You're going to be 84, and you're going to say, God, I have these wonderful fingers, and I really wish I just jammed a knife into a pumpkin and made a pumpkin for the AAA Podcast Pumpkin Carving Contest, because why the fuck not? You know? What else are you doing? I don't know.
Nothing.
What are you doing with your life?
What are you doing if you're not carving pumpkins on Halloween? I don't freaking know.
And you guys
All
know
right.
how unartistic I am, and I'll be trying it out. So if I can do it, anybody can.
Is it gonna be Batman?
It's not going to be Batman or
Damn.
Batman with excessive quotes around it.
SpongeBob Batman.
SpongeBob Batman.
I will make the triangle eyes and nose and jaggedy teeth mouth pumpkin. Thank you.
Classic.
Because I can't do much else. Guys, on this podcast episode, I can do one thing. And that is recommend a shitload of anime to people on our Discord. So we put out the call on the Discord this week. We said, hey, you guys, everyone's always looking for anime recommendations, including myself. And we say, okay, will you throw us a couple of your favorites? Tell us a little bit about what you like, and we will recommend an anime for you live on the podcast today. That is what we're going to be doing, so get hyped for that. Those of you that did not submit something on our Discord, that's okay. You will probably find a person that's just like you, and you can just piggyback right off of theirs. You know, you did no work, and you got the reward, so... I don't know. Sometimes being lazy pays off. I don't know what else to say.
It'll be next time, too. I'm sure we'll do it again.
Yeah. And we're also going to be doing a review of ReZero, Starting Life in Another World Season 2. We're also going to be doing a review of ReZero, Starting Life in Another World Season 2. All right,
The Mad Lad.
And also ReZero Season 2?
And ReZero Season 2. Again.
Oh, okay.
That's right. And we have, you know...
Wow.
Listen, I said...
What does that sound again? I can't remember.
Oh.
Wow.
Listen, I said we weren't going to say anything, but we have jumbled up the formatting of the podcast today. So if you want to give us feedback, you can do it on our Discord. Okay. And now with that, let's get started with the big news of the week, because that's what you're waiting for.
おー、大ニュースです。It's time for big news of the week.
I'm fucking pumped. There's a Godzilla anime coming out on Netflix. And not only that, it's being done by Studio Bones and Studio Orange, which is pretty good shit. And it's going to come out, and it has a date. Okay, Godzilla's going to stomp on your chest in April of 2021. Guys, has there ever been a Godzilla anime? Because there's been about every... Oh, there has?
Yes.
There's been at least the one I know and have seen and actually really enjoy and recommend is the 3-part Godzilla Planet of the Monsters. I think it came out in like 2017. I'm trying to remember what studio did it. I think it was Polygon Pictures. So it's mostly CG, but it does look very cool and is very well done and is epic AF. So highly recommend checking it out. And that was on Netflix.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't know about you guys. You guys are going to have to just tell me as we go here, but I grew up with Godzilla. So I grew up with the Godzilla cartoon with Godzuki on TV, and you know, I was pissed off as hell when King Kong drove Godzilla down into the friggin' ocean, because that shit would never happen, because Godzilla would just fire breath friggin' King Kong to death. So I don't know, somebody had a bias, not that I do, of course. Anyway, the director is Atsushi Takahashi of I Don't Know, Exorcist movie. Guys, what is your do you love Godzilla the way that I love Godzilla?
I don't really have a history with Godzilla. I apologize.
I feel like I'm too new to the Godzilla game. Like, I love the remakes. I love the Hideaki Anno live-action Godzilla, which had like
a man in a suit.
5% Godzilla. No, it was so good. It was like literally not men in like monster suits, but it was 90% men in suits. They were government workers dealing with the big monster, and that was amazing. But it wasn't like the true like classic Godzilla that I think it's known for. So I've got potential, I've got hopes, but I don't have the deep affinity like yourself.
You have lots of potential, Mason.
Oh,
and someday you will realize it and conquer the world.
But it is not this day.
Up from the depths, 30 stories high, breathing fire, his head in the sky, Godzilla and Godzuki.
Is that the real song?
That
That sounds fake.
No, it's real. I swear, that's the theme song of the cartoon. Look it up. So, yeah. I may not have sung it well, but, you know, I am drinking Orange Monster. I don't know if that's known to improve singing voices, but...
Under the influence. I gotcha.
But all right, so I'm going to move on, but I can promise you one thing. We will cover this Godzilla anime because I will pick it, and I will be covering it. So,
Cool.
moving on from that, Mandel, what is up?
Yeah, my news is that the Witch Hat Atelier manga won Best Manga at the Harvey Awards, which tickled me. I think it was like in competition with The Way of the House Husband, H.P. Lovecraft's The Mountains of Madness manga, and also, strangely enough, the Poe Clan, which is like from the 70s. I'm like, how is that up for an award? I don't understand that. Everything else is like new. I don't understand why the Poe Clan was in there. Maybe someone will let me know. But it won, and I'm just so pleased because that manga is still so good.
Well, I've been here.
I just read the most recent volume, and I was like, damn, it's still so great.
Well, that anime is running right now, correct?
No, there's
You're
no
thinking
anime.
of Wandering Witch.
Wandering
Yeah.
Witch. Okay.
Wandering
well,
Witch.
Wandering Witch is supposed to be some good shit.
It is.
I've liked it so far.
I'm hearing good shit about Wandering Witch.
I'm worried because I have read further in the manga, and there are some scenes that I'm like, I don't know. It's just a little bit too tonally weird, but we'll see. And also, my second one is that they released a short trailer for the new Gintama movie. It's available.
Ooh.
You can find it on YouTube, and I found it on the Anime News Network announcement for it, and I'm still so excited.
She's
I
so
love
excited.
Gintama.
It's
And I'm
all
wondering-
spinny today. I
Yeah.
like it.
I'm wondering if it's going to be just a big bamboozle again, because I feel like Gintama always does that, where their trailers are super epic and looks like some really dark shit's happening. Then all of a sudden it's like, nope, stick jokes. Or a sword with some poop on it. It's
Something
great.
like we blew the entire budget just for the commercial, but then didn't have anything else for any other scenes.
That's
so
one of my favorite jokes in the series. They're like,
So
ha,
good.
we got you.
their metagame is so strong.
Yeah, it's great. So Gintama fans, look forward to it. I'm excited.
Captain Avatar in the chat on Twitch. Not a fan of Godzuki. So,
God,
you know what?
Suki.
Godzuki is a cute little angel of a dinosaur, and he never hurt anybody. You monster!
That sounds like a 5-year-old's like play toy that like advertised on like Saturday morning cartoons. Like, your parents driving you up the wall, get Godzuki. Well, you don't even know what it is. It just comes in a tub, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I want that as a kid."
It sounds like
fun.
a toy that sticks to the wall for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Rainbow Warrior is correct. It is a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. So, Mason.
Cobalt, I was gonna say Cobalt in the chat said it's because Poe Clan was just recently translated in English. Really? I could have sworn I had my manga for a long time. I don't remember when I got it though. Was that this year? This year is going by. It's so
This
slow.
year is so slow and so fast simultaneously.
I'm gonna look this up because I could have sworn I had that manga for a long ass time. It's like a gigantic, like hardback tome.
My big news for the week, as Mandi looks it up, is that PSA that the new Higurashi anime, which was sold to all of us as a remake, as
Yep.
a
Mhm.
starting from zero of its own kind, actually we might have been did a bamboozle, and it is possibly a sequel. I've heard reports from a few people telling me that, hey, actually you kind of need to have watched the original now to get what's going on. So if you were planning on starting it up without watching the first Higurashi or the original one, you might reconsider that. So just wanted to let you guys know.
Listen,
Oh yeah,
listen
August
here.
last year. Sorry.
I'm gonna tell you guys that right now. If it wasn't for the fact that I was sitting in front of a mountain of fucking computers, like the girl from Lane, I'm even barefoot. I'm even like in my bare feet. Like, she has like the wall of computers in front of her. I literally have 3 computers here and 5 monitors. If I didn't have all this, I would have spit my orange monster out all over the freaking keyboard, because new Higurashi gets me a little excited, and it's a timely conversation because if you've seen Higurashi, you know that it's not that dissimilar to ReZero. So it isn't.
Wow.
It is. I mean, I think the horrors that the poor guy in ReZero has to endure are a little worse than what Vika has to go through in Higurashi. But she does restart something like 1,000 to 10, somewhere between 1,000 and 10,000 times to like get through the scenario. So same idea, but I'm fucking excited. What are they gonna do though? I mean, there's no fucking way they can do a sequel to that show.
I don't know.
That's why we got to watch it.
As long as they get Colonel Sanders out of that dumpster, I don't care.
So long as it's Moe girls leading by
Ultimate
example.
suffering, KFC.
Listen, there's an important thing to be said, and that is in the Church of Mitsugi, we support very thoroughly the act of Moe girl on Moe girl crime. You know, what the fuck, man? We gotta get my hat.
Recommends
Oh.
using their own power against them.
The Moe girls and Higurashi. Slaughter. Slaughter, because for God's sake, I'm shorthanded. We need to hire... I need some ZipRecruiter over here at the Church of Mitsugi because we don't have enough people on hand to handle all the Moe. So if the Moe could just handle itself for about 2 months, that would be great. Thank you very much. And with that, I say unto you, walk the path of Moe-less righteousness. So saith the Pope. It's been a
Yeah.
while since we had a Pope moment.
I'm
Been a hot
tearing
second.
my nails out in anticipation.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, moving on from that.
That's a Higurashi joke. Sorry.
Yeah, people tear. There's a lot of nail action going on in Higurashi. There's throat clawing and there's also nail removal. So it's just not good. And my Pope hat was falling off. That was not a great Pope moment. I was not prepared for that. I apologize. So I'm also barely wearing pants right now. So I'm just gonna
Barely?
be,
Like they're falling
You're
off?
hanging on by the thread.
Listen, I have pants on, but they in some circles would not be considered pants. So
Thong.
All right.
Assless chaps won't.
That's right. So, guys, on the podcast today, we have our listener recommendations. Listeners submitted their 5 favorite shows, a blurb on what they were looking for or what they enjoy, and they also submitted a link to their Annie list, which was helpful. And we have a lot of suggestions here. So we're gonna go through as many of these as we can, and I'll call time when I think we're out of time. And I'm going to try to recommend only one show per person because otherwise this is just going to take way too long because there's too many submissions. But again, thank you to everybody who submitted. I think we had way more submissions than we could possibly do, maybe even in 2 or 3 episodes. Everybody wants to have anime recommended to them, and it's great to have everybody be enthusiastic. So on the Discord, people, thank you very much for submitting. And if you're not on the Discord, well, this is what you're missing out on. So get over there and do it. And you can get to the Discord from the top page of our website. S. Donnelly17, who I have had dinner with, very, very cool guy, submitted his top 5 favorites. He says Tatami Galaxy, Haikyuu, Hunter x Hunter, March Comes In Like a Lion, and Ping Pong. And he likes originality and something that stands out, and will always, but he'll always give something a chance. So, based on the pick of like a lot of drama and like heartfelt romance type things, and also sports that he has on his list here, I recommended Cross Game. Cross Game fulfills the sports that you get from like Haikyuu and Ping Pong, but it also has like the heartfelt drama that you'd get from a Ping Pong or from a March Comes In Like a Lion, because there's a lot more to Cross Game than just baseball. There's a lot of really strong characters, which is another thing that he says he needs, and Cross Game is really, it's an upper tier sports anime. So if you haven't already seen Cross Game, definitely recommend that for sure. To almost everybody, but just to S. Donnelly especially.
When I was doing my recommendations, I tried to make sure that everything I suggested was available for streaming, like easy to find. But sometimes I screwed up. So I originally said Utakoi, and the reason I said Utakoi was because I was trying not to always recommend the exact same show for everybody, because there are a lot of like ones where I'm like, God, nobody has seen this show. You should probably all watch it. But Utakoi I specifically chose because you said you appreciate originality and unique art styles, and I like the OP for Utakoi. So I mean, some of the music's alright, but and also some just lovable characters. But apparently Crunchyroll has removed it. So
No way.
instead, I don't have a list from you, so I don't know if you have seen it yet. But if you have not, I do recommend Eccentric Family, because those are some characters that are just absolutely lovable. Unique art style. I love the OP for it, and it's just like such an enjoyable show. So that's mine.
Yeah, my philosophy for these recommendations was throw in all of the recommendations I could possibly think of. So if you have access to the show notes, you can see all like 5 or 6 that I listed for each of you. But
And Mason put his in first, so I came on. I'm like,
all the good suggestions.
Mason put down 20 suggestions. I'm like, you can't do this, Mason.
I just was really passionate about telling people what they should watch. So I'll just pick one for each of you guys. Knowing S. Donnelly, as I have also wined and dined with him.
You
I know
stay
he's
away
just
from my S. Donnelly, okay?
a new gym installed. I know he's into sports and running, and a sports show with probably the best lovable characters of all time. Absolute epic. Not so unique on the art style, but nonetheless spectacular. Gotta go with Hajime no Ippo.
Oh, yeah.
Classic boxing show that is the only anime that has ever made me literally get out of my seat and be like, ooh, the hype is in me. And big recommendation on that.
Yeah. Well, I've said it before. That scene at the end of Ippo when Ippo's like down and they're counting him out and he's fighting Sendo and he gets, oh my God, dude. And he gets up and they do like the light in the eyes thing for the first time. Oh my God. That's like one of the most, that's some top tier fucking
spine
sports.
Chilling.
Spine chilling. Oh yeah. Super Fist 59. Mandy, you want to take this one?
Yeah, Super Fist 59, who is also a manga club
regular.
Thank you. I almost said casual. I'm like, that's not the right word.
He reads
regular.
Like half the manga.
He comes to every manga club. Says that their top favorites are Bleach, Your Lie in April, Maid Sama, Fruits Basket, and Real Life. And they said, pretty similar to Enzo Senpai, give me all the romance, sports, music, anime with a dash of comedy and action. But romance anime for sure is the key to my heart. I was thinking that if you want like a sports series, and I went off their Mal as well, and they don't have it, but if you want to go into a sports that has some really wholesome characters, try Big Wind Up. It's a really cute show.
It's so
I really
good.
enjoyed that one.
It's so good.
But also just because I know Super Fist and how much he loves shoujo series, you have not seen Fushigi Yugi, so I definitely recommend that. You should check it out. It's a classic among shoujo, and it is from the 90s. Some of the comedy's a little dated. There's definitely some jokes in there. I'm like, that wouldn't fly today. But overall, it's still like a classic. You should definitely check it out.
Yeah,
Both are on Crunchyroll. Sorry.
Big Wind Up has more than any other baseball show I've seen. It really emphasizes the cat and mouse between the batter and the pitcher. So it's really interesting to see that side because mostly it's just like, oh, how fast can I throw it, or he Big Wind Up is like research in the guy's head. I mean, it's really interesting.
And they're all really wholesome. They're really sweet characters.
So let's see. So Superfish said that they are similar to Enzo, but Beck wasn't on your list. And I'm like, you definitely aren't Enzo if Beck isn't on your list. So we need to fix that. So I know if Enzo was here, he would recommend Beck to you for sure, without a doubt. So that's the obvious choice. Enough said. I mean, plus Beck is just great. Like most people love it. So it's a good.
Beck is like the Firestone to your Eevee. Like it's your final evolution to become the Enzo that you claim to be. I'll go for like the romance with a little bit of music and comedy. The movie, The Night is Short, Walk On Girl. It's a Masaki Yuasa work. It's pretty short. It is the like spiritual sequel to the Tatami Galaxy, but you don't need to watch that to watch this. And the epilogue, or not the epilogue, like the ending monologue that the main character has in his own mind is some of the most like 5 minutes of most intense, like speaking directly into your soul. And it hits hard and it's a really good time.
Okay. Mason, you want to do the next one?
Next up is Gup. And their favorites are the Monogatari series, the Irregular at Magic High School, the Fate series, GTO, and Kino's Journey. And they say, to be honest, I'll watch almost anything. I really love isekais as well as series that seem fluffy, but there's an underlying dark side, like the Fruits of Grisaya series, which I have not seen. I'm probably going to have to go with Land of the Lustrous for you. It is not quite fully committed to the dark side of it yet. I think if we ever get to season 2, it will absolutely dive into there. But it has a nice fluffy exterior at first. And if you're going to watch almost anything, I'm going to start recommending weird stuff. So that is a phenomenal series that I think everyone who has tried is pretty positive on if you can handle a little bit of CG.
For my part, stuff that's fantasy but has like an underlying dark side. I really enjoyed Grimgar, Fantasy, and Ash. This wasn't on your Mal. It's not an isekai like you say you love, but it feels a little like one. So if they were just teleported from another world and dropped in there, it could easily be an isekai. I don't think it was an isekai, but it's definitely fantasy. It has kind of like that. Let's level up and hunt goblins type of feel, etc. But rather than just like, senselessly killing a goblin, they're like going to show you with this guy on top of the goblin in full mount, slicing his chest open. It's like screaming, ah! Ah! And it's like, you got the experience, but more than that, you have fucking goblin blood all over you. Okay? That's
You'll
what.
never get that out.
That's what. It's not going to come out. Okay? You could try to.
They don't have Pantene in Grimgar.
You could try iodine, right? I'm not really deep into the isekai genre, and I think the ones that I could think of are already on your list. So I went with the seems pretty fluffy, but it has kind of a little darker side to it, and I suggested Princess Tutu. That one is kind of based on the fairy tales of the Ugly Duckling and a lot of ballet references, but it's definitely the kind of show that seems pretty cute and fluffy on the outside, but has a little bit of a darker story under there. Of course, it's not like Berserk dark, of course, so don't go in expecting that. But it's definitely a little bit darker.
It's pretty messed up as it goes on, yeah.
Yeah. So, but that one is on Amazon Prime if you're looking for a place to stream it.
Next up is Gore Grind Goku from the Discord, and their 5 favorites are Samurai Champloo, Spice and Wolf, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Princess Mononoke, and Mob Psycho 100. My tastes are all over the place, but if a show/movie is either cute, packed with good action, or funny, it's more likely to grab me, I guess. I thought of a bunch of cute/funny shows because that seemed most fitting with your discussion. I'd have to go with Asobi Asobase. You didn't have a Mal or an any list to reference, so if you happen to see those, I'll go with Hinamatsuri as the backup plan.
For me, you have a lot of action on your list, and you said you like good action, so I went with Sword of the Stranger. It's a movie, but you've got Samurai Champloo on there, so clearly you're down with samurai stuff, and Sword of the Stranger has some of the best action you're gonna see ever. So definitely recommend that movie. So I think you'll enjoy it.
The trolling part of me says action, funny, cute. Sounds like you need Gintama in your life. But no, of course you didn't have a list, so I didn't know what you have already seen. So just judging off the action and funny, I said The Devil is a Part-Timer because it's actually a really fun show. It's available on Crunchyroll as well. It's a bit of a reverse isekai show, but it's really fun. It's a good time. Really fun.
I remember I went into that show with very low expectations and was pleasantly surprised. So yeah, check that out.
Something about the comedy in it reminds me of Noragami a little bit. So it's really cool though. I highly recommend it. Wormy Senpai said their top favorites are Steins Gate, Hibike Euphonium, Your Lie in April, March Comes in Like a Lion, and Fate Zero Unlimited Blade Works. And they said, I prefer character dramas over world building. Sorry. There's something going on with my chest today. I forget to say that in the podcast, but I might stumble quite a bit. But they also said, I will watch pretty much anything, though. And they linked us to Mao. I didn't see on your list, but give Time of Eve a chance. It's on Crunchyroll. It's a much shorter series. I think it's only 4 episodes, like an OVA. But when you said you prefer character dramas over world building, I think you should check that one out. It's about the interactions between robots and humans, but there's a lot of drama in there I think you might like.
It's really good, and it's short. It's easy to watch. Yeah. Easy to watch, super thoughtful. Yeah, Time of Eve is a unique show. For my part, Nodame Cantabile.
I butchered it last time.
Cantabile.
Cantable.
I think I called it, but it's Cantabile.
I think it's Cantabile. But you've got Hibike Euphonium and Your Lie in April in here, so clearly you're down with the music, particularly classical music is in Your Lie in April. But your list has an awful lot of drama on it. And as you said, you like character dramas, and Nodame will give you the music in a music show that you seem to like, but it also has a fair amount of romance and slice of life in it. So it'll give you a little bit of all that, and it's also fairly long. So there's a lot of Nodame content, and it's all pretty good. So if you're into, and they're a little more mature, they're in college. So it's Your Lie in April and Hibike are kind of they're middle school, high school, but these are college kids in Nodame, so you may really enjoy that. It's really good.
A lot of Nodame content belay.
Content.
Yeah. Anyway, similar to Mitz, I saw like a lot of musical romance shows with that are very patient. I mean, March Comes In Like a Lion, Hibike Euphonium. So with that in mind, one of the best character building shows has to be Kids on the Slope.
Sure.
It's got all that, and it's a great character drama that is simple but takes you on a ride. So highly recommend that one. Sakamichi no Apollon is another way it's referred.
You were originally going to say Planetes, and then I didn't put down Planetes because I thought you were going to. So I'm also going to suggest Planetes.
Okay, so I was going to say The Eccentric Family, but then Mandi said that earlier, and well, I'm like, well, that's also really good. So Planetes maybe, but I said, yeah, Planetes, Kids on the Slope, The Eccentric Family, check them all out. Sorry, this is the curse we have to bear with.
Planetes is really good.
It is.
The next one's from Alpaca Caterpie. That's a pretty cool name. They like Chihayafuru, Haikyuu, a lot of Haikyuu on this list, Monogatari, Arakawa Under the Bridge, and just after my own heart, the 12 Kingdoms. So thank you for that. I know that was just for me. So they write, I tend to like shows with unique cast of characters or world building, adventure. Fantasy is mostly what I've been into lately. But the setting doesn't exactly matter as long as there are fun characters, interactions, and character development. But they prefer plot. So I was going to suggest Sainkoku Monogatari because that one is like very 12 Kingdoms-ish, but you already have that on your list. So that one got thrown out. So much for that idea. So I went with one that's a little less perfect, but I think you still might enjoy it, was Utawa Mono Season 1, because the Season 2 was, holy heaven, so bad. So do not watch Season 2 of Utawa Mono, but Season 1 is really quite good. It has a lot of cool characters with cool designs, has an interesting world, and some damn good action scenes. So it's definitely worth checking out. It's no 12 Kingdoms, in terms of fantasy. Like, few things are going to be that rich, but I still think you'll enjoy Utawa Mono. So, and it looks good.
I was trying to find some places on this list to suggest older shows, so it doesn't really fit with your favorites, but you did mention that you love fantasy and you like action and comedy, and the characters matter. So I suggested try out Slayers. It's a fun time.
Oh.
It's a bit longer, so you have a lot of content there to get into. It's available on Funimation. Either that or also Rune Soldier Louis is a little bit lesser known. Is based on the same kind of world as Lodoss War, and but it's a comedy one more so than like Lodoss War is. But that one is really silly about, like, if you like D&D kind of settings, it's about a guy who is like a wizard, but imagine a wizard that put all of their stats into strength because he just punches things instead of casting spells. It's really silly, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's like the older suggestions that I could think of.
Would you
no
say
ecchi or anything.
The 3-episode like Slayers OVA is a good starting point?
I don't think I've seen that.
Because I think that like you're not like signing up for like the full like 26 episode thing. It's like a quick jump in and out, and I watched
you could try it.
and I enjoyed it. So maybe start with that.
Lena Inverse is just also fantastic.
That one's a little more wild. This was tough to recommend because his hits were all over the place, and on his list he had like 300 shows on his like plan to watch. So I was like, oh my goodness, all the good ones are taken. But as far as the fantasy genres, 2 movies, Arete Hime, I think not a lot of people are talking about. That's a phenomenal like classic fairy tale feel. And for more modern take, Little Witch Academia, like the first OVA, is pretty darn cool and fun. So that's what I would give you.
All right.
Next up, does Mitsugi's mom know Cursebreaker himself, Nuclear Burger, 5 favorite shows?
Very famous. Oh, and I'm hoping to get more of those soon. It's just my mom.
Excellent.
It's just my mom hasn't been in town, so I mean, you could have endless of them if you're okay with like shit audio quality. But that's not really what I'm all about. But we're working on it.
She's got that charm factor, though. That's all that matters.
She's studying for the test. We'll put it like that.
Gotcha. Nuclear Burger's 5 favorites are Mob Psycho 100, Steins Gate, Gurren Lagann, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, and Full Metal Alchemist. And I want to give him props for doing the semicolon in Steins Gate, so I didn't have to put it there. Much appreciated, my dude. And he writes, I'm always up for some great action anime, but I do enjoy some slice of life / romance / drama from time to time. Loved Kids on the Slope, wink wink. Yeah, you should watch that. But I can't finish K-On!, which is sad because that's great too. I do have an appreciation for anime that can be so bad that they become hilarious. Fantasy and sci-fi are always a plus. So essentially, I think you just wrote that you like good shows, because I think that's all the genres that exist in there. I had a bunch listed. I think the one I will pick on your end should probably be. Ooh, let's go with Rurouni Kenshin, the Trust and Betrayal series. That's a pretty good mix of action and classic, and it's just a juggernaut within the industry.
It's so fucking good.
That's recommendation. And I tried really hard to think of shows that were so bad that they were good. I didn't come any I loved with. So yeah, listen to Mandi.
So you said you love great action anime, but haven't seen Berserk? Done. I mean, come on. Like, you're killing me here. The original Berserk from, like, the 90s.
You mean the only one?
Yeah, the only
one Berserk anime.
Thank you, Mason.
Okay, thank you.
It's important that you added that. Yeah, that is... The original Berserk is so fucking good that I could be watching any episode. I'm like, oh, I need an audio clip of, like, Casca farting or something. So I'm going to go find that. And I'll end up watching, like, 4 fucking episodes of Berserk because it's so damn good. It's that good.
I might argue that the Guts theme with just people like gloriously chanting somehow is the most epic thing of all time, despite being like super low key. It's so good.
It's so damn good.
So I suggest it's a little bit harder to find because it was on Amazon Prime, but they took it off. But if you ever feel like paying for it, apparently I think you can buy it. I don't know, maybe it's on iTunes, but also the DVD is like super cheap. But I suggest it. Try out the Vampire Hunter D movie from 2000. That one is a really good time. It's it has a tiny bit of romance and a tiny bit of drama, but it's mostly just a dark vampire action movie, and it's really good. So I didn't see it on your list, so try it out.
All right, man. You want to do the next one?
Yeah, the next one is from John Kenpon, and their favorites are Hunter x Hunter, Hanta Hanta, Mononoke, Mushishi, Shinseki Yori?
Shinsekai Yori from the New World.
Yori. I know what it is because I've seen it. I just suck at pronouncing it. And Yu Yu Hakusho. And they said honorable mentions are Mob Psycho 100 and Soul Eater. And they said, I love shows with darker undertones involving the supernatural, as well as stylistic shows that have interesting art, subject matters, sense of humor, and or quirkiness. Action is always welcome, but not a necessity. And I said, I think this person is actually just me, because a lot of my favorites are on here. And
Man, you're not allowed to ask for recommendations on your own show.
I want to recommend stuff to myself.
Is this you? It's you, right?
Just because, like, Mononoke, Mushishi, I love all the ones that have, like, a supernatural yokai / I guess Mushishi has, like, Mushi in them, but I love that kind of shit. So I did not see on your list Hozuki no Reitetsu. It's more of a comedy, but it still has a lot of that, like, folklore in there about Japanese hell, and it's really funny, but, like a dark comedy. Definitely check it out, because if I love it, you might love it.
I mean, you're talking to yourself, which is a little weird, but, okay.
I also didn't see Gon Kutsuo, or aka the Count of Monte Cristo, on there. Mm-hmm. That one, very visually unique, so try that one out. I also love that one. If you like Mononoke, you might like that one as well.
If you're Mandi, you'll love it.
Yeah.
For me, so it's the Halloween season, right? And if you like Mononoke, I'm taking the low-hanging fruit here and recommending Ayakashi Samurai Horror Tales to you, because it's, as far as I know, where Ayakashi originated. It's definitely in there. It's the third story in that trilogy, I guess you can call it, and they're all pretty good. Like, all three of Ayakashi's pretty like a nice watch. So all three of those little, like, 4-episode short stories are really enjoyable, and since it's Halloween, Ayakashi Samurai Horror Tales, it's gonna fit perfectly. Light some candles, get the lights low and just enjoy.
Your, like, description of your favorites perfectly aligned with, like, the 5 you listed, and it was, like, very uncanny how much you nailed your own profile. So many jumped into mind. The 2 that I'd probably go off the top, though, Kashurin Sins is like a super dark and, like, desolate and, like, patient show of, like, end of the world robots like fighting for their lives, and it looks amazing. And the other one that's a little more on the quirky abstract side has to be Kuchu Baranko, aka Trapeze, aka Welcome to Dr. Irabu's office or something. It goes by a ton of names, but it is a wild time, and I recommend both of those.
Kuchubaranko. Also, you have Ghost in the Shell Down, which is another one of my favorites. So
Yeah, you
can
got
watch
but
that one too.
The jig's up.
listen, I know John Kent. He knows he needs to watch Ghost in the Shell. Like, this is just a fact.
Funny side note: if you ever played John Ken with elementary school kids in Japan and they beat you, they just say, "Oh, John Ken, yo why?" Like they'll just basically say your John Ken is weak. They're so
Shit.
yeah,
Dab on him.
I don't know if I can take that hit.
yeah, and they're really good at it. Like they
They
do
cut
it.
deep.
Well, they use it for everything, and like just like if you're like trying to figure out who gets to have the last fucking piece of food or the last bun or who's gonna wipe the floor or who's gonna do anything, it's always John Ken. It's like absolute. If you lose at John Ken, the winner gets what they want. It's like a law. And they play John Ken so fucking much that I feel like they can tell what you're gonna throw out by the shape of your hand or something, and that's like they get like a 0.2 of a second advantage on like knowing, and they just their brains just know, like they just know how to do it. It's weird. Like oh it's like oh his hand shifted in this way. He's throwing scissors. I better throw a rock.
They've got those small fingers. It's
damn.
easier to change them in the last second.
They're fucking good
Bunch
at
of
it.
cheaters.
They're good. They'll do John Ken with like 9 people at once. It's crazy. Anyway, so Clark writes, or Clark likes is the next one. Clark likes Anohana, Attack on Titan, Haikyuu. Oh, we just did this one. Did we just do this one?
Nope.
Oh, I did. Oh,
Everyone likes Haikyuu. That's why you're confused.
yeah. A Silent Voice, Hunter x Hunter. I like most genres. I do prefer generic isekai power. I don't prefer generic isekai power fantasies, yaoi or yuri. I wrote Berserk again, so I don't know. I think this was like that's why I thought this was one we already did. But so I guess I have nothing for you, Clark. I'll try to think of something while Mandy and
Damn.
Mason
You can
go.
take one of mine
Sorry.
if you want. You can take one of mine.
Oh, Denocoil was really fun. Okay, Denocoil is Denocoil is so unique. I love the art style of Denocoil. It's like these kids put these glasses on and they're basically like in this like augmented reality world. So it's definitely a unique watch. It's something that is just worth watching just because of that. And you'll know right away if you're gonna like it or not. But Denocoil is also something I feel like kind of got skipped over a little bit back in the day.
Very ambitious.
That's worth watching. Denocoil. Thank you, Mason. You helped me out.
Welcome.
I looked through your list, and the one that I'm going to suggest. Ooh, I'm having a hard time today talking. It's a very love it or hate it series. Every time I see somebody talk about it, they're either like, I absolutely hated that, or I love it. It's one of my favorites. But have you tried Orange? And the reason why I'm suggesting that is just because I see a little bit of a crossover in the fans who like it between like Anohana and A Silent Voice. So I can't promise it's going to be a new favorite of yours, but I don't know. It's something to try out that I think might be up your alley. And it's available on Crunchyroll.
Yeah, when you said you didn't like isekai or power fantasies, I picked 2 shows that took place in someone's backyard where the main character is weak AF. So I will recommend Ajin to you. That's another kind of weird, dark show, but dude just gets beaten down constantly, and there's some weird alien monsters, and I'm recommending a lot of CG shows today. I don't know why, but nonetheless, it is pretty cool, and I really liked season 1 a whole lot.
All right, I think we're gonna do. I think we're gonna do about one more of these apiece. So, Mason, do you want to take the next one?
Yeah, I got it. This comes to us from Beaded Bunny, and their favorites are Kami-sama Kiss, Restaurant to Another World, Mushishi, Kakurio, Bed and Breakfast for Spirits, and surprise, surprise, Hunter x Hunter.
Hunter x Hunter. Every single person.
And I like this description because this really helped guide us. But they say excessive fan service is a turnoff. We'll watch sub, but prefer dubs, and there is usually a child around. So, we got to get these kind of kid-friendly. So no Berserk. Mitsugi, you're going to have to hold off on this one.
Thank you.
So I definitely went with a ton of like really comfortable, soothing Yashike-esque shows that are kid-friendly and fan service free that have dubs. The one out of my list that I would recommend, now that I realize I have to choose one, it has to be Barakamon. I didn't see that on your list, but OP is an absolute banger. it's the origin of mandom, and just the struggle of all the characters are all really compelling and sweet, and it's not too slow or patient. So I think anyone could jive with it.
I think it's also great if you're with kids at the time too.
And it has like child characters and adult characters
Yeah.
at once, so like you guys could both like associate with one versus the other. So
I wasn't really sure what to do with this one, but since you like Hunter x Hunter and you didn't, I don't think you had this on your list. I'm gonna just say Yu Yu Hakusho. I mean, it's kind of the other Togashi show that everyone knows. So, and it's, I mean, I didn't really like the end all that much, but at least 3/4 of Yu Yu Hakusho is really, really awesome. So it's worth watching and quite long. So I'm gonna go with that.
My main suggestion, because I did not see it on your list, is Natsume Yujincho. And the reason for that is because it's kind of like a lighter version of Mushishi. It has the kind of yokai in it that you would see in like Kakurio. It is, and Kami-sama Kiss as well. I feel like it fits so well with 3 of your other favorites. And it's an ESGK, super laid back, very beautiful. It is very child friendly as well. I don't know if it could attract kids. I'm not sure, because Nyanko Sensei is also a very lovable cat that they might be interested in, but I think the show is also just very bittersweet in general. It's a really gorgeous show with about a kid who can see yokai. He has a book. It has the name from his ancestor, and he can control yokai through it. But instead of doing that, he chooses to give names back to the yokai, and it's his journey through finding, just accepting himself and learning how to trust others and learn how to make friends. It's a lot of stories revolve around loneliness. So I highly recommend that one based on the other shows that you said that are your favorites.
Yeah, it's good.
Sorry.
I would have put that.
I
would have put that show down as well, but I knew Mandi was gonna jump all over it, so I'm like, you know what? I'll give her that jumping board.
It's also like super dear to my heart, so
yeah,
I definitely highly recommend that one. The next one is from a T Willy, which I love that name. They said their favorites are my teen romantic comedy Snafu. I wasn't going to try to attempt pronouncing Oregaru.
Yep, you got it.
Oregaru. Attack on Titan.
Ore.
Attack on Titan, Golden Kamuy, Chihaya Furu, and JoJo Part 5 particularly.
Ora.
I don't really have a specific taste. I watch whatever is recommended to me, both on Verve and Discord. I try to watch as many seasonal shows as I can. I binge watch almost all of my shows, unless they are seasonals, and I never drop shows. That's impressive.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, go watch Copcraft. We'll see if you keep that shit up.
I was looking through your list and I did not see Rakugo Shinju, or aka Descending Stories, and you should definitely watch that because it's really fucking good. That's all I got, honestly. I just didn't see it on your list and I was offended.
I'm gonna recommend. This is just lazy, so I don't know. You said you had no specific taste, so I'm just gonna say GTO. You haven't seen it. It's kind of a staple, a little bit, and a lot. Maybe not a staple, but it's pretty widely liked. So you're probably like, a lot of people like GTO. Great Teacher Onizuka is pretty good stuff.
Also, I was joking about being offended, but it is available on Crunchyroll, and I think it has a little bit of a crossover between like fans of Chihaya Furu, just because it goes into like a very traditional Japanese art. This one's performing art, but yeah, you might like that one though.
I wasn't joking. That's a big mistake, mister. You need to rectify that now. Since you said you'll watch anything, I said I'm going to get weird and give you a couple good binge shows. The weirdest one that I'll recommend to you, probably going to be Penguin Drum. That is 20-something episodes of mayhem and Ikuhara just doing his thing, and it's wild and a good time. Devilman Crybaby as a backup. And those are all really easy to binge.
All right, the last one here, and then Mason, you have to put the rest of these back in the box. Is from Ichizo. Ichizo likes Legend of the Galactic Heroes, Kids on the Slope, GTO, Space Brothers, and Wolf's Rain. That's a list that's pretty in line with my taste. I have a pretty wide range of tastes. I'm a huge fan of space epics, but I also really enjoy slice of life series, primarily ones centered around either working adults or music. So, couldn't get through a whole segment without it. If you like space epics, and you've seen Legend of the Galactic Heroes already, I think Crest and Banner of the Stars are obvious choices. I think it's as close as you're probably going to get to Legend of the Galactic Heroes without watching that, in the sense that it has like good world building and there's a good history behind it. There's great space battles, military strategy. It's all in there. And it has a touch of romance and drama as well. So Crest of the Stars and Banner of the Stars, you get like 3 series out of that. Actually, I guess 3 series in an OVA. So it runs probably 40 total episodes, and it's quite good. So you'll enjoy that.
I'm going to give you 2, because one of them I wasn't too positive on, because neither of them really fit the ones that you have in your favorites. But I was going off that you said that you really like slice of life shows, but also about adults who are like working. And so my first one is Nakuhodo Yatsuro Biori. Unfortunately, I don't have an English translation for that, because that's just the name of their tea shop. So if you need to see like how to spell that, just ask us in the Discord, and I'll type it out for you. But Nakuhodo Yatsuro Biori, it's available on Crunchyroll. That one is about a group of men who run a tea shop together. But it has a little bit more, I would say, like a shoujo appeal to it, I would say. But it's very comfy, great food, art, and it always makes me super hungry. Very relaxing. But the other one that I would also suggest is The Great Passage, which is available on Amazon Prime. That one is about adults working on creating a dictionary. So, I don't know. That one's a little bit more dramatic than I would say Nakuhodo. It has more comedy in it. But that's 2 of them, I think, about working adults that you might like.
Yeah, you definitely tend to prefer works with a more mature approach to them. So I'm going to cheat, and my one recommendation is going to be any of Natsume Ono's works. I think her stuff definitely leans on a more mature side. You have House of the Five Leaves, Aka 13, Restaurant Paradiso. I think all of those might be a good starting point. So check those out.
All
my
right.
goodness. I think we recommended a ton of good shows.
Oh, yeah.
Though you guys probably didn't read the fine print in the poll, which says you are mandated to tell us what you thought of these, because now you have to watch them. You can't just ask for recommendations and not follow up. So if you have given these a shot, let us know what you end up thinking about them. And next time we do one of these topics, jump on so you can get your recommendations. We will go to our first intro news break, and we'll leave you with a trivia question. According to, I'm always going to screw this up, Echidna, the Witch of Greed, which of the former witches in ReZero is the most powerful, and what deadly sin do they represent? We'll let you know in just a couple minutes.
Hey, Anime Addicts, Mitsugi's here, and I'm bringing you your anime news. This one leading off with quite a lot of new anime announcements. Publishing company Kadokawa announced that the adaptation of Shuichi Nimaru's Osana Najimi ga Zettai ni Makenai love comedy, or the rom-com where the childhood friend won't lose, it's going to be made into an anime, and it's going to be coming out in 2021. So get excited if you're into rom-com, love comedy type shows. The director is Takashi Naoya, who worked on 3D Kanojo, Real Girl, and the Yahari Ore no Seishun love comedy property. And the studio is going to be Doga Kobo. The synopsis sounds an awful lot like a love triangle, so if you're into that sort of thing. My childhood friend Shida Kuroha seems to have feelings for me. She lives next door. Small and cute, outgoing character, seems like the perfect girl, but the boy in the show already has a first love, the beautiful idol of the school, Kachi Shirokusa, And thinking about it, he really doesn't feel like he ought to have a chance with her, but she gives him an awful lot of attention, which is sort of leaving the door open. So for those of you that like a rom-com, check out this property coming up here before too long, I'm sure. Next up, Jashin Chan Dropkick gets a 3rd season after the crowdfunding campaign hit its goal. So it was greenlit. The 3rd season is scheduled to air in 2022. So they're really shooting this one pretty far out there, with the target being the manga's 10th anniversary. So this campaign began at midnight on Wednesday and already exceeded its goal of 20 million yen, or just $200,000, within 33 hours. So probably going to go way past that. So for those of you that don't know Jashin Chan Dropkick, the demon Jashin Chan has been summoned to Earth by Yurine Hanazono, a girl with a knack for the occult. Unfortunately, Yurine does not actually know how to send Jashin Chan back to hell. Now stuck on Earth, she must live at Yurine's apartment as her familiar. So look out for that coming out in seemingly eons from now. Next up, more information coming out about Eden Zero, probably one of the biggest anime lingering out there. It's going to be airing in April 2021. Of course, this is adapting Hiro Mashima's adventure fantasy manga, who is also the creator of Fairy Tail, which is why this is such a big deal. And Fairy Tail, they look like Fairy Tail characters, complete with the little mascots and etc. Chief director is Shinji Ishihida, who worked on Fairy Tail. Pretty much the whole staff of Fairy Tail seems like they're in on this, including the director, Yushi Suzuki. JC Staff's doing the animation. And some cast has been announced, including Takuma Terashima, Mikako Komatsu, and Die Kugimiya. So if you're a fan of Seiyu and those names ring a bell for you, look out for this anime coming out in April of 2021. It'll be a big one. And next up and finally for this news break, the Manga A channel is ending in 3 chapters. It's going to be ending in the January 2021 issue of the magazine, which is going to be publishing towards the end of November. So if you're a fan of A channel's manga, savor it. You got 3 more chapters to go. This was Mitsuki, and this was your anime news break. And now, as always, time to get back to the podcast. Anime Addicts, as you know, this podcast is not currently being sponsored by anybody. It's independently produced and operated. We're not going to bombard you with any annoying commercials for products that you honestly have no idea what they are or why you would possibly need them. We just give you nothing but cold, hard, badass anime news and fun here on the podcast. And if you want to support us in our lack of providing you with horrible commercials to listen to, you can go over to aaapodcast.com/join, or you can go to Patreon. You could even go to our website, AAA Podcast, drop a donation. Anything's appreciated. If you have nothing to throw our way, that's okay. We still love you plenty. But if you do have a couple bucks to spare for us, we're going to reward you. We're going to be giving you our hentai episodes, our after parties, and our hobby addicts. 8 extra podcasts a month just for you. You'll never run out of our lovely voices to listen to. So again, you can head over to aaapodcast.com/join or Patreon. Throw us a couple bucks. Show us your anime fandom. Support the podcast, and we'll appreciate it always. Again, thank you. That's over at aaapodcast.com/join or Patreon. Welcome back to the podcast. Episode 545. We had an intro trivia question for you, a pretty difficult one too. If you are a fan of, even if you're a fan of ReZero, you may not have gotten this correct. And if you did, big props to you. The intro trivia question: according to Echidna, the Witch of Greed, which of the former witches in ReZero is the most powerful, and what deadly sin does she represent? It is Sekhmet, and the witch's name is Sekhmet, and she represents sloth. So, I believe that the Witch of Greed, Echidna, said that if they all had a fight, Sekhmet would kill them all in only a couple seconds. So, pretty intense stuff. All right. And now, as we do, it's time for Mandi's Manga Minute. Of course.
Spooky month.
Spoopy edition.
Spoopy edition.
That's right. Let's get it rolling.
This is Mandy's Manga Minute, where I'm going to tell you some spooky manga that you can read for your Halloween pleasure. This one is called Until Your Bones Rot. 5 years ago, a group of friends murdered a man. Every year since then, these 5 friends visit the dead man's rotting bones to reaffirm their blood oath to take the secret to their graves. Soon after one of their yearly visits, the friends hear that a golf course will be built in the area and decide to go back and move the body. Instead of bones, however, they find a cell phone that begins to ring. The group answers it with trepidation, and the stranger on the other end confirms what they already suspected. The bones are indeed missing. Their crime has been discovered. In order to stay out of jail, they agree to do the thief a favor, and in the process uncover a plot that will test the bonds of their friendship. Until Your Bones Rot is a dark thriller written and illustrated by Yai Utsumi. Hopefully I pronounced that right. But it is a finished series with all 7 volumes available in English digitally. There are no printed versions available yet. The story follows a group of friends years after they have committed a murder. The first volume does go over the circumstances that led to them committing such a horrible act, and you discover that they're not really cold, ruthless killers. At least, not all of them. They're a nervous bunch of kids who check the corpse once a year just to make sure that no one has found it. But when the corpse is found by a mysterious individual, they're going to be forced into committing even darker crimes. And the first volume doesn't pull any punches, and it gets pretty gruesome. Definitely not for the faint of heart. But it is kind of interesting just to slowly uncover the history between each of the kids and like their history with each other and how the situation has changed them. It's a very short series, so I was planning on finishing it. It's only 7 volumes long. I think it is worth a look, especially for Spooky Month. And if you are interested in the series, you can currently get it in Humble Bundle on humblebundle.com. The Terrifying Tales for a minimum of $9. You get the entire thing, and also a bunch of other series as well. I absolutely love Humble Bundles, manga bundles. Just warning, we're not sponsored at all. I'm just telling you that I love their manga bundles whenever they do them. So yeah, it's easy to obtain. Check it out if you would like a good spooky manga for Halloween.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mandy, of course. So we're going to have a few more of these as we inch our way towards Halloween night. And you can satisfy all of your horror manga reading with Mandy's Manga Minute. So all the way through the month of October. And of course, you can also get obscure and underappreciated movies from Mason's Unexplored Pictures segment, which we're going to do right now.
Get your popcorn ready. It's time for Unexplored Pictures with Mason.
I didn't come up with the spooky soundtrack to change that intro because I also am doing the spooky movies this week or this month, and this one could not be a further cry from how innocent that opening sounded. This movie is definitely also not for the faint of heart. This is a 49-minute uroguro, which means like erotic, grotesque adult horror movie from 1992 called Midori Shoujo Subaki. And boy, this is a wild ride. It's based on a Kamishibai protagonist, which then inspired a 1-volume manga called Mr. Arashi's Amazing Freak Show. And it is a story about an orphan girl named Midori, who gets taken into a traveling freak show run by Mr. Arashi, who's a strict man who essentially allows no freedom for any of the people that work under him, and he's super cruel to her, and she kind of works as a caretaker for the freaks, and essentially her job in life is a living hell. There's sexual assault, animal violence, mutilated nudity, horrifying like visions, and just like the most demented and disturbing happenings that have ever pretty much occurred. There is not much animation and consists of a lot of like pans, cut out like walking animations, and absolute still frames. Like a lot of the movie doesn't even have lip flaps most of the time, but that almost makes the movie more horrifying because you don't know what to expect in the next scene. Like it could just flash into like some grotesque moment that just you were not prepared for at all. And all of this is interesting because it was essentially single-handedly produced by one man, Hiroshi Harada, and because the subject matter was so intense, like he could not get any sponsor, so he pretty much used all of his life savings to make this film in a 5-year period, with like 5,000 separate sheets of animation being like hand drawn by him. So he did all the scripting, all the directing, and there's not even like a legitimate home video release anywhere in the world. Like that's how weird and messed up this is. So because of that, I don't feel too bad about saying that you can find this on YouTube, because it doesn't exist anywhere else. This is definitely not a family movie. This is probably the most revolting like anime thing that has been put out. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm hoping that the new adaptation of Uzumaki is like a third as creepy and weird as this, because this is off the chain. This is, if you like, I would recommend this to similar fans of like Belladonna of Sadness, Cap Soup, maybe a little bit of Corpse Party. And if you really like this, he did a 27-minute film called The Death Lullaby. But he also did some of Kirby Right Back at Ya. So if you need some eye bleach, you got that on the back burner. So
my poor boy Kirby.
Right back at you, my dude. He did you dirty. But yeah, Midori Shoujo Tsubaki. It's 49 minutes, and it's something. So that's an option out there if you want.
That's
you
pretty
are brave, because I was gonna say I had a manga for my spooky month, and then I chose not to do it because I read it. I was like, this is too weird and fucked up for me.
Listen, I have 2 movies this month, both called Midori, both pretty much done by one man, and I can't decide which one is more messed up. But
oh my goodness,
this one's a little bit harsher. So if you are feeling brave and adventurous, give that one a shot.
All right. Yeah, that's a pretty fucked up movie. I've seen that. So I've also seen the Mr. Whatever's Freak Show. That's pretty messed up.
I've seen that. It's really messed up.
Yeah,
these
movies
actually made a live action version of this.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know.
These are the kinds of things that are like not even rated because they're so horrible that there's like they exceed the R rating. So they're so tread with caution, I would say. So let's move on to a mailbag just to get the.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag.
Cleanse the palate.
Anime.
Mailbag.
This mail comes to us from Ovuo. A lot of vowels in there. You know who you are.
Too many.
They say, "Hello, AAA crew. I'm submitting this mailbag because I want you to reconsider an anime you watched, which is very hyped right now. The anime I'm talking about is ReZero. What brings me up about this is that you guys somewhat disparagingly talked about ReZero around podcast episodes like in the late 530s. This comes as a fanboyish defense of the anime I liked, but I really want you guys to experience the fun/pain that a lot of people in the community are experiencing right now with season 2. Essentially, he's saying that a lot of the director's cut from season 1 kind of fleshed it out and made a lot of improvements to the details and just the general flow of it. He talked about how the show kind of started as a typical run-of-the-mill isekai, but the second half of season 1 really brought it together and rewards you for pushing through, and that Subaru has changed and is such a great character. And I don't want to get too much into the specifics, but he really recommends watching the director's cut of season 1 and hopes that we will give it a second chance. P.S. I really enjoy your podcast. It is very entertaining. With love from Germany." Thank you. Very topical because obviously we were about to review season 2, so you read our minds 3 months in the past or however long you submitted this. But I have not watched the director's cut. I did rewatch a couple episodes to prepare for this review. I don't know. I actually really liked the first half of ReZero. I thought that was probably my strongest part about it. I don't even remember what the comments were. I think Mandi said they were probably a joke. They were probably just goofing and gaffing.
I don't even think it was I don't even think anybody talked disparagingly about ReZero. I literally think I just didn't like do a backflip about season 2 when I did the impression. So
that's what it was.
We did an impression on season 2. I said it was fine, but not as good as the first one. I thought it was a little lackluster in the first 3 episodes, and I still feel that way. So, but here we are getting ready to review ReZero. So I don't recall anybody, considering that, I think I'm the only one. I don't know. Mason, have you seen the original ReZero before that?
I have.
Yeah, well, I think I was doing the impression, and I definitely like ReZero, so I don't know. I'd have to go back and listen again, but I'm gonna be honest, I probably won't. So, but here we are, getting ready to review ReZero. So,
Yeah, I was gonna say this past week is my first time watching it. I hadn't seen it before. I binged through season 1 and 2, but sadly, I jumped into the English dub of season 1 when I turned it on, and I didn't know there was director's cut. I didn't know. I guess somehow I missed it because it is on Crunchyroll. I just somehow overlooked it and just went straight into the English dub. So I didn't know until somebody told me, like, when I was almost done with it. I was like, oh well, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
I think
rewatch
I
all of
asked
it.
you at like episode 24. I'm like, are you
Yeah.
watching the director's cut? You're like, no, I
No,
don't think so.
I don't think so. I was like, there's a director's cut. So that was an accident. I didn't know it was there. But yeah, so if it was something I said, I didn't even see it yet. So I was probably making a joke.
How could you?
all right, guys, and with that, let's do a 5-star review real quick before we continue on with our regularly scheduled programming.
It's time for iTunes review.
Written by Zwanka. They write, I have been watching anime since the 80s. My favorite anime of all time is Code Geass. I love you, Hakusho, and I believe Black Clover is extremely underrated. So discovering your podcast has been amazing, and I love all the different parts of the show. Thank you all for the great job you are doing. I love Mandy's positive attitude and ability to make the listeners want to watch the shows she loves. Thanks to her, I gave a shot at watching, guess what? Hunter x Hunter.
Hunter.
Something that I wouldn't have done on my own. Thank you again. So basically, Mandy, thank you.
Aw,
Thank you
sweet.
for spreading the gospel of Hunter x Hunter.
I spread Hunter love to everybody. That's the only way I'm going to pronounce it now, because I think it's adorable how they say it in the show. It's cute. So yeah, I'm excited that I could spread the things I love to you, Hunter, and Gintama. I always joke because
Take that. It's not. Pull it out of the trash. Put it back on the shelf.
I always think it's funny. People joke that they think that the only anime I like is Hunter x Hunter, and I'm like, I like 5 shows, so I just talk a lot about those 5.
The Hunter x Hunter OVA, the 1999 version, the 2011
Green
version.
Island
Hunter
OVA.
x Hunter. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for submitting a mailbag. And again, if you want to
Yes.
do it, you can submit a mailbag or a review to iTunes through the Apple Podcast app. It's really easy. You just kind of go down to the bottom and you click enter a review, and you can just type whatever you want. So always appreciate the feedback and the love, and keep them coming, guys.
We are now going to announce the trivia from our website, which you can find at aapodcast.com. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, we have a picture, a scene from a show, or at least a cropping or a distorted version of it. And if you can name what that show is from, you can win a fabulous prize. The answer from last week was Kaiji. I'm sure there was 1,000 people who got it right because it was a pretty noticeable nose that no one can forget. The winner for the week was Nisekoi Maiko, so congrats to you. And the theme remains Icy Rose's lesser-known favorite. So if you think you know the man in charge, head on over there, take a guess, and you can win something at the end of October.
The actual anime addict, Icy Rose. But with that, we're going to go into our second break. And the trivia question that we have for you to ponder while we are away on break is, in ReZero, what are the 3 types of animals that make up the Great Ma Beast? Think about it, and we'll answer it after the break.
Anime Addicts, Mitsuki is back here, bringing you another batch of anime news, starting off with some pretty exciting stuff, and we're able to tour in Japan again. Many of us are looking forward to the opportunity to be able to travel back to Japan. It looks like the Yomiuri Shimbun newspaper reported that Universal Studios Japan, which opened on June 19th after being shut down since, well, the late February because of COVID, the theme park is aiming to open its very anticipated Super Mario World theme park area in spring of 2021. Universal had planned to open that area of the park in July in time for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, which was, of course, delayed or canceled or whatever. And it looks like now, as a result, that section of the theme park was also delayed because of COVID due to overcrowding as a countermeasure against disease spread. But the management decided that the park could open next spring due to lots of preparations that have been made to prepare people to be safely entering the park. So there's going to be a Super Mario Kart ride and Yoshi's Adventure, and there's going to be magnetic power-up bands that allow visitors to interact with attractions. You'll be able to punch blocks and do all kinds of cool shit. So if you want to head over to Super Mario World in Japan, I definitely will be. Next time I'm in Japan, you can check that out. Next up, the monthly book scan list, which was topped by a work called Fangs, which seems like a sort of a timely Halloween-y type story. Also had a ton of manga on it from anime properties. My Hero Academia coming in at number 2 and 3, and number 7, as well as number 13. Not to be forgotten, Dragon Ball Super came in at number 5, Demon Slayer coming in at number 6, and number 8. So lots of anime being popular on the monthly book scan list, which aggregates sales from Barnes & Noble, Bookchange, and independent bookshops, and tons of other locations, 16,000 in total. Just giving you a good sense of what is popular right now in the United States. Next up, and rounding us out, we have a lot of episode counts that have been announced for anime coming out here in the fall season. So if you're watching these, here is the length of your favorite shows from the fall. Golden Kamui's 12 episodes, Talentless Nana's 13 episodes, Sleepy Princess and the Demon Castle 12 episodes, Kuma Kuma Bear and Ikebukuro Westgate Park both at 12 episodes. Some longer shows here as well. Higurashi Nunaku Koro ni When They Cry, whatever, is 24 episodes long. Adachi and Shimamura, 12 episodes, as well as Mai Setsu and Is the Order a Rabbit, all at 12 episodes. This is Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break. And now, time to get back to the podcast right now.
And now, great moments in Anime Addicts Anonymous history.
Listen, people today are spoiled as shit. I can go into my bedroom on like my Roku TV, and I'm like, which of these streaming services do I want to watch a variety of hundreds of anime from for literally almost no money at all?
Spoiled. I'm just kidding.
Do I want to watch one of 10,000 anime off of Verve, or do I want to watch one of probably 500 anime off Hulu? Fuck it. We'll just go to Funimation, and I'm just gonna like pull it up and just lay in my bed all day and watch shit. You don't know the pain of waiting for the DVDs in the mail. You don't know the pain of trying to keep track of them all and losing them. And then you don't know the pain of when you get a DVD. You're like, oh my God, Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex Volume 4, the DVD. And you get it in the mail and you're holding it in your hand and you're like, I'm so excited to see what the Major is going to do next. And you pull it out and it's like fucking Those Who Hunt Elves Volume 2. Someone put the wrong disc in the wrong sleeve, and there you are. Now you're watching like guys hump tanks and shit. That is not what I signed up for.
It used to happen to me all the time. I remember I tried to rent the the Street Fighter movie ages ago.
Oh my God. Welcome back to the podcast. In ReZero, what are the 3 types of animals that make up the Great Mabisto? It's the white whale, the great rabbit, and the black serpent. Tiny, sharp, pointy teeth. Gotta watch out for that great rabbit. And you can get
Mabeast. Great Mabeast. My great Mabeast.
And you can get some great extra content if you support our podcast at aaapodcast.com/join, and you can get a great member RSS feed that'll let you access all of our extra content, our hentai episodes, our hobby addicts, our after parties, all via an exclusive separate RSS feed that you can access that'll contain all that extra content right into your mobile app. Supported on Podcast Addicts, Pocket Cast, Google Podcasts, Castbox, pretty much wherever you are. You can listen to our extra content that way. Just a little extra way that we try to make our extra content easy for you to listen to since you're so great and helping us with our podcast. And with that, it is time for a review of Re:Zero starting life in another world. That's right.
Season 2.
Nailed it.
Season 2. So, all right, let's get this rolling. Mandy?
It was your show. You passed it.
Well, someone put the header in purple, so I don't
Wasn't
know.
me.
I can do it if you guys don't want to.
Oh, no, I can do it. So I passed Re:Zero Season 2 back in episode 536. It was an easy pass, not only because Re:Zero is good, but because, I mean, come on, it's like the biggest anime of the season. Come on, for real, right? So it came out in summer 2020. You can watch it on Verve or Crunchyroll. I watched it on Verve. I gotta tell you, like, I wasn't like signed into Verve for a lot of this, and very lazy, didn't sign into Verve, and God, the number of political advertisements on Verve right now is just vicious. I mean, you will watch 12 of them an episode, so definitely sign into Verve, people. The synopsis of Re:Zero is pretty tricky, but basically Subaru gets transported into another world, so it's an isekai. And he has the power of restarting, basically, where when he dies, he restarts from a specific point in time. Initially in the show, it's from the point in time that he enters the world. And then after accomplishing very important specific events in the game, in the story, the restart point kind of moves up. So first he'd go back to the beginning, and then eventually he got to the point where he would restart and go, like a few months into the point in which he was living there, and then it keeps moving up and up and up. And I think at this point we're like in the second or third spot from where we started. And
Sorry, go ahead.
And along the way, there's a lot of interesting fantasy stuff going on, some good action, some interesting characters, a whole lot of violent death scenes. Wow, some really, this season especially had some grotesque shit in it. And a lot of just thought-provoking material. So Re:Zero is, a fan favorite for a lot of reasons. Mason, do you have a comment?
Oh, I was just going to say that he's, I think, definitely more than 2 or 3 save states into his adventure. But
I don't know exactly how many. I don't even know if they showed them all to us. I just remember like a couple very specific ones. But yeah, usually he'll go back because someone will die, and he will, be like, oh, I can't have this person die, so I'm gonna fall on a sword or jump in front of a car or whatever it is, whatever he has to do to get restarted. But a lot of times he just gets killed by whoever killed the other person, or he gets eaten or some shit. It's done by Studio White Fox, who did Steins Gate, Akame Kill, The Devil is a Part-Timer. They're pretty prevalent. They've been around. They're doing good work. And the director is Keisuke Inoue, who also directed the first season of Re:Zero. So, guys, especially Mandy, because you hadn't watched the first season of Re:Zero. Mandy, what did you think? What did you expect of this anime before you started watching it?
I didn't know what to expect of season 2 because, like you said, I hadn't seen season 1 yet. And it was really funny last Sunday when you're like, we're going to do Re:Zero. I was like, oh, crap. I forgot about that. So I had to binge through season 1 and 2 this week. And it's kind of funny because I always put it off because isekai shows are always very hit or miss for me. Most of the time misses. And I wasn't really excited going in because I wasn't a fan of a lot of the character models. Look, I'm sorry, guys. The maid outfits just don't do it for me. Yeah. Looking on the outside,
they're twins. They're twins. How do you not understand this? Oh my goodness.
Looking at it from the outside, who doesn't know anything about the show, I was like, those character models look stupid. So don't kill me, Rem fans. I'm so sorry. I didn't know anything about it.
How could you hate on Rem and
I'm not hating on them.
What was her name? I don't.
Their maid outfits are just dumb.
You're not the only one that feels that way, Mandy. So
I put it off because I just didn't look like something I would like. But when I first started it, I was pleasantly surprised. It wasn't anything like I was expecting because it didn't really feel like a lot of other isekai shows that I have seen. Like, it didn't have like an overpowered protagonist. He actually kind of sucks at everything. There wasn't a lot of like ecchi comedy or just silly fan service comedy really at all. And it was far more mature than I was expecting. So I was pleasantly surprised by the beginning of it. And I think in season one, towards the end, I think it's just time travel anime in general kind of just always raise questions in me because I'm like, I feel like the time frames and like that he has in each of these runs is changing. I don't know. There were some times I was like, I don't know. It's not really adding up, but I still overall enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. And so I went into season two not really knowing what else we had to do. But yeah, I knew it had a lot of hype behind it. So I was excited to jump into season two.
Mason, how about you?
So I watched season one back in 2016 when it first aired, and I was overall pretty meh on it. Like, I liked the production, and a few moments of it were absolutely killer, but like it was constantly tripping over itself with how ambitious it was trying to be, and it had this like intertwining plot that was constantly being rewritten, and I liked the time travel aspect of it, but a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the moments just got caught up in itself, and I think that's where it faltered. And realizing it's been so long, like I said earlier, I rewatched a lot of the beginning of the show, and I kind of forgot how comedically strong this was, especially
It
at the
was.
opening. It was so engaging, and I was reminded on why the popularity the show had was well deserved. So I came into season two kind of reinvigorated. I was excited to see where it would go, but I was kind of expecting to be disappointed for a lot of the same reasons. And Krush is best girl, so there. That's my
I agree.
opening statement.
For me, I knew what to expect. I'd seen the first season of ReZero, of course, and I expected, more of the same. I didn't know where the story was going, but I know the mechanics of it and expected it to continue doing what it had already done up until this point, and I'd say it was fairly consistent. So, I pretty much got what I was expecting, I would say. So what do you guys think? Would you recommend ReZero, Mandi?
Spoiler-free recommendations.
Brain.exe stopped working.
I ran out of Monster. What do you want me to
Running
do?
out of Monster, yeah.
I ran out a long time ago. I mean, come on.
My Godzilla juice is fading.
Look, this series is so fortunate that I came into it during my obsession with Hades.
That's very
This
true.
is like roguelite the anime. But I think I'm trying to compare it to season one. There are some things I think it did better, and then there are some times where I'm like, it doesn't. Like, I think COVID got in the way, and it does not. Like, I know this is supposed to be like a 2-core anime, and I guess it's not airing back to back. I don't know when the second part comes out next year.
Season, January 2021.
Gotcha. So this one, it was a really weird ending because I felt like it didn't have much of an ending at all. It felt really weird. It looked like they took the entire season, just cut it in half instead of like planning out 2-core, which is why I think COVID got in the way. It's probably not really the show's fault that happened that way. But so I think I would recommend, if you're super into ReZero, waiting till the whole thing comes out to just binge all of it. I don't know if I'd recommend getting into it now, although I'm pretty sure fans of the series are already watching it. So that's probably, noob me, ReZero noob me jumping in. But yeah, I'd say I know that the light novel goes a lot deeper into it, but I think between season one and season two, while I did think season two did some things better, I still think overall season one was more enjoyable for me. So, but going off of fans of the series who seem to absolutely love what season two has done, I say if you're a fan, you should definitely give it a try. And if you have never seen ReZero, I think you should at least try season one, because I thought it was better than what I was expecting for sure.
Yeah, I mostly agree with what Mandi said. The short answer is yes, watch this show. It's more of season one. It's a little bit less of that sappy romance, but if you like the first season, you'll like this. And if you didn't like season one, this isn't going to change your mind. But the long answer is no, don't watch this show now. Wait until the second half starts airing in January. And this show, kind of, I would now forgive me, Mandi. It's kind of like the Siege episodes of the Chimera Ant arc from Hunter x Hunter. Like there's a lot going on. There's a lot of plays, a lot of chaos going on.
I didn't see no butterfly man.
And it's not as graceful with like delicate timings, but there's a lot to keep track of. And I think if you like took a break for like a couple months, like you'd miss a lot of the groundwork that it laid. So wait until January. You'll actually get, the resolved answers to the questions that this brought up. And I also want to encourage that when we move to the spoiler part of this review after Mitz gives his recommendation, like this will be very spoiler heavy and like very plot dependent. And I feel like if you have not seen it, it's going to be difficult to follow. And I urge you, if you're considering it, to go in with no spoilers. So
ants are mob beasts is what I've just learned. Equally terrifying. They eat people just like those rabbits.
They're strong too. They're real strong boys. Anyway, Mitz, your recommendation.
So I think that this is a solid show. I mean, you obviously can't watch season 2 of ReZero unless you've seen season 1. Don't even bother trying. It'll be very difficult. It'll be impossible for you to watch it. So the good news is that season 1 of ReZero is good, so you'll enjoy that. I found the second season of ReZero to be a little slow, I would say. And the storyline, it can be difficult to keep up with. If you like go make a sandwich or something and let it play, you might come back wondering like what is going on. For a show that spends so much time doing the same things over and over again, they definitely find ways to cram new information in constantly, and you can definitely get lost in a hurry. So I just found the pacing to be a little slow in this one. So I don't, this like sanctuary arc or whatever we're in, I find it a little less interesting than the initial part of the show. I think that some of the dialogue scenes are a little long, and that might be why it seems slow. But I think that ReZero is at its best when it has a lot of. In the first season, there were definitely some shockingly good action scenes in the first season that you were just like, oh wow, like this is good stuff. But like season 2 doesn't really have a whole lot of action scenes in it, so I think I was definitely missing that. But the visuals and the music continue to be just like far above average, I feel, for anime these days. And the pacing and the camera work are definitely reminiscent of like some of the Fate anime, in that they tend to have more of like a cinematic feel. I don't know exactly
Reminiscent. Do you understand the ramifications of making a pun like that?
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I couldn't resist.
I couldn't resist either.
Who is Rem? What?
That's why I said ramifications.
Wow.
So, I think that I don't know how they do that with the cinematography, but like it just feels like you're watching a film. I don't know, and that's really nice, and it made the anime like very bingeable. So there were moments in the season where I was just glued to it, and then there were sections where I was like yawning. But all in all, I think I was in it for just the over the top violent death scenes, because they are just eye popping in this season.
More eye gouging, if you ask me, but.
There's some grotesque shit going on, but all in all, I feel like ReZero continues to be a must-watch show. I think that it's a leader and just a shining example of what the isekai genre can be. I think it's doing it far better than most, and I think that if people have seen season 1 of ReZero, I would tell them to watch season 2, no problem. If they haven't seen season 2, they got to watch season 1, but then I would recommend season 2 as well. But if they just hate isekai shows, maybe that's, I don't know, maybe it's not for them. But at the same time, I agree with Mandi. I don't really get the maid outfit thing, but it just doesn't do anything for me. I know it's there for like the fanboys probably.
Doesn't it feel weird? Like it doesn't fit with the rest of the fantasy
At least
theme?
they are actually maids, though.
They're true. But they're fucking French maids.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think maybe it just goes with Roswald being a weirdo.
Yeah, he's a freaking clown. You're not going to call him out for that?
Look, guys, I learned I have a fetish for clowns that get naked. Don't judge me.
And can just like wipe the make-off off at a moment's notice.
Yeah, they always show up in a hot spring naked.
That's
my favorite.
That's a fucking drop. I don't know where I'd use it, but
Constantly. You would, every time you start the show and introduce Mandi, you would play that and make her just recover from that.
I love it.
all in all, guys, I think that ReZero continues to be good. I would definitely recommend it. No problem. So let's move on to spoilers. And it's definitely a. I don't even. It's like one of those shows. I feel like it's spoilable, but then in a way, it's not. It's weird.
I feel like
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god!
Yeah, sorry.
I was gonna say, I feel like a lot of this is gonna be you explaining stuff to me. I got lost, guys. I'm so sorry.
I spent about half the seconds. I've spent about half of this season lost as well.
Good. I'm not the only one.
I am here to save you guys. Don't worry. I will try my best.
So,
Though I will say none of us are obviously ReZero like scholars.
No.
We've not read the light novels. We have not
No, I
dug
haven't.
deep into the lore. So we are going to try our best. We will probably make small mistakes, but we're doing our best for people.
So basically, like amazing. Keep me on track here. They're going off to war to fight the witches cult, and their caravan gets ambushed and just totally gets fucked up in the beginning. Check.
So here's the biggest problem. Not really, but essentially, this takes place as soon as the season 1 ends. There is no like catch up period. This ends with there are 2 groups. There are a couple people, but essentially one caravan is running away from the white whale after it's been defeated, and this has the group of Rem in it and Krush leading this caravan. And we get 2 archbishops, the one from Gluttony and the one from Greed, that come and essentially wipe the whole squadron out. And here's my first big question that I really could not get an answer to. But essentially, one of them, Gluttony, his name is Lai, can erase the memories and names of people, similar to the white whale, who is also a pet of the Gluttony branch of scale trees. But essentially, he eats the name and the memories of Rem, essentially making her in a coma and making everyone else in the world, except for Subaru, because he has the return from death ability, forget about her. Rem ceases to exist outside of like just a physical piece of meat. Like her sister doesn't remember her friends don't remember her, only Subaru, and she's in a coma. So that's one instance. And then Krush only has her memories eaten, but not her name. So she does not remember her history, but everyone else still remembers her. And it really bugs me. Why did they both not get their names and memories eaten? Why did Krush not also be forgotten to the world? They were both in the same instance and same situation, and I don't know why. And that really grinds my gears.
Well, because this person doesn't like French maid outfits. I mean, obviously.
No, he likes French maid outfits, I guess. But it's Gluttony. Like, he's not going to be like, oh, I'm going to eat you, but not you. Like, no, Gluttony is going to eat everything. And I tried looking it up, and some people are saying, and I'm just going to harp on this detailed point for a while, and this is the only one, so just forgive me. But they were saying, oh, because Rei introduces herself, he knows her name, and that allows him to eat her name and memories, whereas Krush never says her name. And that's why Krush is safe. Which, fair, admit it, that's pretty good. But also, Krush is one of the most important members of the royal family. She's
crucial.
In the running. Yeah, she is crucial. Thank you. Great pun. I'm liking it. She's like in the running to be the next king of the nation. And Greed, Regulus, says right before they kill her or eat her or whatever, like, I know exactly who you are. So I think if Gluttony was like, hey, what's this lady's name? I'd really like another feast. He would give it to her. Like, why did she not get her memories eaten or her name eaten? And does this impact the plot? No. Is this important? No. Is this a make or break moment of the season? No. But it's a instance of ReZero has all these cool concepts, but just it hits these little stumbling blocks that I guess I don't have a good enough understanding of, and it makes me question that more than like just rolling with the punches. And I think that's kind of a key skill to have for the show, is realizing what is important and what you can kind of just say, they're trying to do stuff, I'll let it see how it plays out.
Anyway, so
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I didn't either, but you know, it's worth mentioning for sure. But in summary, from all of that, Rem ends up in like a bed, and you know, as he does, Subaru's crying over her because he cries a lot. And they have to go to this sanctuary where half human. Roswaal is, and half human, half beasts are, and in order to save Rem, I guess. And this is me watching this like a really long time ago. And on the way, they go to the sanctuary, and they find out that because, keep me on track, Mason, because one of the witches is buried there. There's like a field, like a force field over the sanctuary that makes it very hard to enter and exit. I guess to protect the sanctuary.
So it is a protection force field to protect the half-bloods that live in this village. Half-bloods cannot enter or leave very easily. Normal people like you and I can leave. However, the force field is kind of not really there for anyone's good. It's actually kind of a negative force in keeping the half-bloods inside. And the half-blood people of that village don't want to be there anymore. They want to leave. And Roswaal and the villagers come into this town, and they are free to leave anytime they want. But the half-bloods can't leave unless this field is disbanded. And the only way to do that is if a half-blood completes the trial. And they're not strong enough to do it. So they're essentially holding Roswaal and the villagers hostage there and say, hey, help us defeat this force field so that we can leave.
Right.
So Roswaal, that's why he's all bandaged and injured, because he's a very strong fighter, but because he's not a half-blood, he's not allowed to complete this trial.
I think the barrier messed him up too when he tried to leave, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure if it was the barrier or just him trying to get into the trial. I think that's what it was. He was rejected from that. But
there was definitely a scene where Subaru loses his ability to take the trial, and he gets pretty fucked up. But he doesn't really try very hard to take the trial. He just kind of sticks his hand in or whatever, and he's like, "Fuck, that hurt." Basically.
But essentially, Subaru and Emilia, to find answers to help Rem, get sent to the sanctuary by Beatrice and say, "Hey, you'll find answers how to help Rem there." And they arrive there, and they're like, "Surprise! Actually, Emilia, you are a half-blood. You are a fantastic candidate to take this trial." And on the way to there, before they kind of cross over the force field, they meet Echidna, which is the legendary Witch of Greed, aka Chitanda, because she's super curious,
aka eyebrows,
caterpillar eyebrows for days. And she essentially has an interest in Subaru from his interesting life, and without getting into details, gives him the ability to compete in the graveyard trial as well. So essentially, Emilia, Subaru have entered this village, which is walled off, and they're kind of forced to complete these trials to save the villagers, to save the half-bloods. And Emilia and Subaru can both attempt the trial, and they go in to do so.
And it's kind of weird to me because like a lot of the half bloods or whatever are powerful as shit. Like, what's the one guy's name?
Garfield.
Garfield.
It's so close to Garfield.
Oh, he's fucking Garfield. He even looks like Garfield when he transforms. This guy is so strong. Like, he does not need protection. So I'm a little baffled by that. I guess they're not all strong.
Certain half-bloods are not allowed to compete in the trials, and certain half-bloods have been in this village isolated so long that they're like, ooh, like the outside world is bad to us. They're still evil. We don't want to be released. So they are kind of sabotaging the efforts of other half-bloods to get out of here. So there is a lot of pieces at play. And the allegiances of all these people are kind of complex. And I think the hardest part about this show is a lot of things are presented to you as fact. A character will say something and we believe them because why would we? And Subaru believes them. But it turns out actually that might have been a deception, or trying to lead them down a false road, or only a half-truth. So you get told these things and you're like, well, why don't they just leave? That doesn't make sense. But it turns out like you're unwinding a mystery at the same time as Subaru, and kind of hiding that from the viewer is interesting, but I think helps lead to the confusion. So you kind of have to pick apart the truths in the lies. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and amongst it all, Subaru takes the first trial and he passes it, but he hates to see Emilia, who he loves, getting so like emotionally destroyed by taking the trials, because every time that she takes one, she ends up in really bad shape, because they all seem like head game type trials, like it's always like one of them, like, you see them through Subaru's eyes, and it's pretty emotionally like distressing, a lot of the stuff that he has to go through. So Emilia
just bringing up like dark moments of each of their past and like
Yeah.
forcing them to confront it. Because Subaru for a whole episode almost is reverse isekai back to Japan.
Yeah.
He kind of has to come to term with, his hikikomori lifestyle and like reconnecting with his parents. And I do like how it's funny. Almost all the figures and posters in Subaru's room are like silver-haired Emilia-like girls. I thought that was a nice little.
I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that.
His type. But essentially, he comes to grip with it and he passes the trial. Whereas Emilia is definitely suffering from something in her past that she cannot move on. And I think the second core of this will kind of reveal what she's having to overcome, because she tries the trials, I don't know, 10 plus times.
A ton of
she's
times.
Unable to complete them.
Yeah, a ton of times.
The first one.
So why does he go back to?
Sorry, I thought she kept taking it because Subaru never got this. Well, I thought she only tried to take it once, but we just see it multiple times.
I think she tries a couple times, but yeah, she takes it for the first time multiple times. But I think she also continues a little bit past, like as he's held captive for like multiple days, and later in the series.
Yeah, that was weird with Garfield. So there were definitely some motivations in here that or the way characters act, and maybe it does make sense, and I just missed it possibly. But that one time when Garfield attacked Subaru and locked him up, I was really kind of confused. I'm like, this seems super. Like, I know he's hostile. He is very hostile towards Subaru, but that seemed very extreme because he wants to protect all of the half-bloods that are in this bubble. But I also thought, wouldn't he want to get out? And wasn't like Subaru the only one trying?
Well,
I was confused.
I think he thinks he thinks that Subaru is working with the witches, which I think who I think that they perceive to be evil. And so he's like, "Where are you going? Are you going out to, to canoodle with the witches and come back here and lead them here?" And
the answer is yes.
Pretty much, yeah. But
nonstop canoodling.
But really, what he's trying to, Mandy,
sorry. Oh no, it's okay. Sorry, I was gonna move on to a different character I was confused about.
Well, I mean, I just want to clarify why Subaru keeps trying to go back to the mansion, and I think it's because he's trying to get guidance on how to deal with the trials. But
so it's tricky because he goes to Beatrice and says, "Tell me how to do stuff," and she's like, "Go to the sanctuary." And he goes to the sanctuary, and they're like, "Actually, go talk to Beatrice." And you're like, why? And especially episode 2, they spend a lot of time talking about why they need to go to the sanctuary, but without actually just going. And I think that's kind of one of the biggest sins of this is they waste too much time on some of the dialogue options. But essentially what it boils down to is Beatrice wasn't able to say the truth at the time because she's bound to an oath. Subaru learns this in the sanctuary and then goes back with that knowledge. And essentially while there, comes across Elsa, the murderer witch lady from episode 1 and 2 of
very busty
season
assassin.
1, which has been gone this whole time, who essentially kills Petra, who kills starts with a P, maybe the new maid. Petra.
Oh yeah.
I don't
know. Not Beskil Patriciu, the
red-haired girl, whatever. Yeah.
Essentially, she's effing stuff up back at the mansion. So Subaru.
Petra.
The other one.
I thought her name was Petra. Little blonde hair girl?
The little one, Petra, the tall new maid, who gets
Frederica.
Frederica, yeah, Frederica.
Shark teeth.
F, not P.
Sister to Garfield.
Correct. Sister, maybe mystery. Ooh. But
they're
essentially
quarter blood or something.
Half. They're half siblings.
Yeah,
but
she's
essentially. So Subaru then is now forced with this decision of deciding how to save Emilia from her trials, how to get back to the mansion to save the people there before they get attacked. And so it's constantly his battle of time of trying to save both groups of people. And then essentially, long jump into the end of the season, we've learned that essentially the scumbag that is Rosewall has been setting everything on fire the entire time. He is the anarchy component. He has been testing Subaru and Emilia to prove their worth to himself, to the villagers, to sharpen them into the heroes that he wants them to be.
And he's insane.
And he's the one setting up all the traps, who's causing the assassination attempts on his friends to better mold them in his image. And it's a big turning point. And essentially at the very end, he just says hey, look, Subaru, you don't have time to save both. So deal with it.
Yeah, he sets up, he has the big spoiler, and this is a huge spoiler, is that Rosewall has the grimoire that tells the future or whatever. So he knows everything. including all about Subaru, who most people don't know like that he can restart, and he's, even though Subaru is so invincible sort of because of his ability, Roswell has set up a scenario where not everybody can be saved, and Subaru doesn't want that, of course, and and Roswell's like, well, I'm insane, so I don't give a fuck. He's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm insane, and I'm doing a Rurouni Kenshin cosplay of whatever
He's
the hell
just
that
straight up
fucking villain is.
Hisoka, guys.
He's Hisoka without bungee
He's
gum.
literally just straight up Hisoka with no gum, no gums attached.
He's Makoto Shishio with no gums Hisoka. So yeah, and then like the whole season is basically like Subaru trying to figure out how to like work his way out of the scenario. It's like, oh, well, I restarted, and this is the best situation I've had since I restarted. But in reality, no matter how many times you get eaten by rabbits or cut apart or blown to pieces or stabbed to death, whatever, you are going to it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to solve the the conundrum of saving everybody. And my expectation is that Subaru will have to come to terms with the fact that even though he's got this ability, not everybody will be able to be saved, and he's going to have to go through a little character change of seeing some darkness, because up until now he's pretty much saved everyone, I think, that he wanted to.
Yeah, I was initially kind of confused by Roswell when when they revealed like all of his motivations. I was like, that seems counterproductive. It seems kind of weird that he's like, actually, I'm trying to make it so that you don't, or that you're willing to let people die. And I'm like, but how does that work when you just kill him? I was confused.
Or he kills random.
He doesn't want to die.
It's weird, and there's a lot of moments in this show. Sorry, go ahead.
But it does make more sense though, and you're just kind of like, Roswell's just crazy. He's kind of like that Hisoka, where you're not really sure what's going on, makes him pretty unpredictable, which means I kind of like him now.
There's a lot of sociopaths in here between Roswell and the witches, not really understanding everything. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think the other one, I was going to wait till Mitz came back because he might have some input, but I think the weirdest part for me, and I'm going to go into my positives later on, it's just all these questions that I have, because I was like watching it and like, I don't really understand it. And so I'm trying to get all my questions off my chest. I don't, and I already mentioned this in our private Discord, but I still don't really understand Subaru's past, because he went into the trial and we got to see his past with like why he became shut in. And I don't know if I really buy it, because it seems like he fell into a pit of despair because his dad is just too cool. I was like, I don't know if I buy that, because like his dad is a super nice guy. He's really nice to everybody, and the whole town loves him. And I don't know if maybe it's because he wanted to be as well liked as his dad, and he felt like, no, he couldn't gain friends, or he had to do, bad kid shit in order to like get anybody to like him. But it still just seemed like I just didn't buy it. It seemed like a really weird way to be like, I'm depressed and never going to see the world. It's because my dad is just too cool.
I mean, that is the meme and the joke, but I think he realized like he's not smart enough, he's not skilled enough to differentiate himself. He's just another member of the crowd. And if you're just someone from the crowd, no one notices you. And if you don't go to school, no one notices. And if you don't excel or don't do this, no one notices. And he kind of became detached of having a purpose that he could fulfill. Like he no longer was the funny one or the fast one. He was just his dad's son, which was nothing. Like that's not fulfilling. And like having nothing to do with society, he drifted away, and kind of he's upset with his parents because they gave him that cocoon of love that kind of allowed him to fault with that. And I think that was his big sticking point. And being taken to this world, which we still don't know why he got brought in to Lugnica, I think it's called. But it kind of forced him to be someone and grow into society, not under the shadow of his dad, but under his own terms. And I think that episode actually really brought me back into the show, because the first 3 episodes were not really sticking with me. And I think some people might be like, oh, there's not adventure, there's not action, I don't really like those episodes. But that actually is what kind of saved the second season in my eyes. And I think it helped with the theming of finding your purpose, where you got someone like Beatrice or Ryuzu, who are both bound for like 400 years, which I think can't be a coincidence, but like by a contract, which they can't really act on of their own volition. And I think the series is kind of going towards, having the power to do and make your choices and be fulfilled with it. And if you need to ask for help, like Otto screams at him at the end, or you try to do it all yourself, like,
Otto.
I think a lot of these themes are going to come together in the second core, which is what I'm excited for. But I think in the meantime, like you said, Garfield's motivations seem to change, and people's think, like, I think this is really rewarding as a second watch or like a light novel reader to really pick all the threads as you go through. But as a first time watcher, it was just a little too many questions.
There was a lot. But I mean, light novel fans, tell me, are they ever going to tell me how he got into this world?
It's that convenience store food. But he didn't eat it. He brought it. Oh my goodness.
Oh man, it's that bento.
It's all a hallucination, people. Trust me.
He's on drugs.
I've eaten the convenience store hot dogs in Japan. I feel for you, bro.
That's a big twist at the end. None of it happened.
Yeah,
I feel like we could go on for the plot for like an hour still.
But
I think the only two sentences I want to leave with on like this whole plot thing are from the show itself. One comes from Ryuzu, who says, "Apologies for making you listen for so long with learning so little." And I think that the dialogue still remains like the sticking point of the show, where it's just a little too stiff and clunky sometimes. But at the end, Daphne, one of the witches, say, "Subaru made some pretty big boasts to me, so I'd love to see him at least try to follow through on them." And I think like, oh, well, that's the second core. Like they essentially did one long arc. Like the first season, Mandi, I think they did 4 kind of arcs at like 5-6 episodes each. This has been a 13 episode arc that is still unfulfilled, and it's this big setup. And I think it's less satisfying for it, but perhaps we'll have a bigger payoff. So I still have hope.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, sorry. I was just gonna say that all of my weird questions aside, that of things I just didn't click with me or just didn't understand right away. I did kind of like that, like all of the witches, these characters are supposed to be like really evil, ended up being just therapists for Subaru and getting him to love himself.
The witches were
great. That was kind of funny, or kind of like a nice little twist at the end. But I do really want to see more growth from Subaru. I don't know. There's something about him right now. I still feel like he knows he has issues and knows that he like hates himself, but I don't know if I just don't see any like significant growth in him yet, and I'm really hoping that the second core does that. I think at the end of this core, where he had that whole like meeting with the witches, which is like right at the end of it, I'm hoping that kind of spurs us into the second core, and we get to just see him just transform. I think that'd be really satisfying. But as a big plus from season 1, like I mentioned, I just watched season 1 right before season 2, and like I said, there are some moments where he would rewind time, death, return by death. And I felt like in the next time, like next life, I was confused because I felt like the time that he had before important events kept expanding and he had like more and more time. And I'm like, wait a second, like one part time in particular. And I'm sure huge fans of the series are going to tell me I missed something, which I apologize. I'm new. I'm sorry, guys. But one time in particular is like when he died by the whale. And then, but he remembers the time that was on his phone at that time. So then he goes to get the hunting party and he has them come back at the time that the whale spawned on his phone. But at that moment in the last life, he was evacuating people. And I was like, well, wait a second. If he's evacuating people at the time they're going to the hunting party, wouldn't they be dying in the city to the cultists? I was confused. I felt like time just kept expanding.
Like Groundhog Day, you get more efficient. You speedrun strats.
But what I really liked about season 2 is that they sometimes gave me a time frame. Like the time when he was trapped, he's like, how long has it been? Oh, I have 5 days. I was like, great. I have a time frame here. 5 days. I'm happy that I get to know exactly how much time we're dealing with.
Yeah, he's like, the attack happens in 3 days. I have this much time to do this and this and that.
3 days. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I thought that was a good change. Like, give me more information, because otherwise I felt like, man, his time just keeps expanding. I wasn't real solid on the times in the season 1.
My last thought on ReZero is that it still hasn't reached the levels that Higurashi season 2 was at, I think. I know that I realized that the second half of this season of ReZero is going to be, it's going to be interesting to see how Subaru can claw his way out of this scenario. Like, he'll have to find the perfect, much like Bill Murray, who learned how to play piano, he'll have to find a way to get out of the situation that he's in. And that's good. And that's what's going to make watching this rewarding. The same way that in Higurashi season 2, Adika has to find out how to get out of this scenario that she's in. It's the same fucking concept. It's exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
She had to find a way to get out of her problem where everyone was dying and whatever. And he'll have to figure out the same thing. And I have confidence that ReZero will rise to the level that Higurashi got to, where, it's interesting to watch them figure out how to perfectly execute the next, the 4 day span of time in order to get out of you have to learn enough information to get out of the situation you're in. He'll get there, and I'm interested to see how, he'll do it. And I expect that we will probably end up covering the next section of this as well when it happens.
I still have a lot of questions, and I think some of them people said are answered in the OVA. Warning, I haven't seen the OVA, but I need to, with Amelia and the cat spirit, whose name I forgot. Puck, thank you. Yeah, who doesn't really show up in the season 2 except for a flashback where Subaru has to witness what happened after he died in each of those runs, which I thought was super cool.
Which was really cool.
That was really cool. I'm like, oh shit. So all of those timelines are still going and they're all gonna end in ruin. That's so sad. And we're not really sure if it was a trick on him or if it was an actual vision. But that was super cool. But yeah, I still have a lot of questions about Puck. And I don't know. I'm overall though, putting my questions aside, I still thought it was really enjoyable. It was really an interesting show, something to kind of. There are moments where you have to shut your brain off. I'm like, yeah, murder whale, murder whale.
Oh, I love that shit. I wish there were
buns.
I wish there were I wish there was a lot more of the action.
Me too. I want one. I want a murder whale.
But I'm not interested in the Ma Beast line at all. That's actually my least. I don't care about that in the slightest.
Murder animals are my favorite character.
All right. Do you guys have any more comments that you want to make before we wrap this up?
I thought the animation, for the most part, was pretty good, except you could see towards the end, there are some moments where you can tell COVID caught up to it and they're probably struggling, which is totally understandable from the state of the world right now. You definitely see that. Haikyuu is also getting a hit. I think everyone's getting hit by it, but for the most part, I thought it was pretty well done.
I'd say particularly character faces, you can read a lot of information, especially Subaru's. They did a lot there. The magic effects look really good. The worst part of the show by far was this shot at the end, this dramatic speech by Echidna, who is spinning around in a circle, and it looks like it's CG of her, and there's no mouth flaps, and her hair is clipping through her body as she remains in the same pose. And I'm like, that was definitely supposed to have more mustard to it and have a bigger impact. And I could just tell they had the right idea, but it fell flat. But obviously mostly looked good, mostly sounded good. I don't think the music is ooh, this is a bumping thing, I'll listen to this in the car. But airy magic effects, the crunching of bones, the animal noises, and even the dub, I think is all pretty solid. And I love how they eschew having an OP or ED visuals. They just are hey, we got more show to give you, and they have a lot of times have content going during the opening and endings, and I always appreciate when shows give us that little extra.
Yeah, right. It's also a little sad that Amelia is kind of both Amelia, Rem, and a lot of the other characters outside of Subaru were pushed to the back. But hopefully they come back in the second core, because I think Amelia is pretty cool, and I like every character in this has their own issues that they need to resolve for sure. But I don't know. I'm hoping that Amelia and Rem both come back in the second core.
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna wrap it up here. Thanks so much for listening to our review of ReZero Season 2. And I'm sure that we'll be revisiting this sometime whenever they get around to the second half of it. But if you guys want to check us out on social media, we're on Twitter. You can find me at AAA, or the podcast is at AAA Podcast, and I'm at Pope Mitsugi. Mandi, where are you found? And Mason?
I'm on Twitter as Mandi X Mandi.
I'm on Twitter at Macy Paisley, and find my thing so you can join on my tier list for the new season. I want to see what all of you guys think.
Yeah, and Discord.
Also, oh, sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was going to jump into Discord updates. I was just going to say Manga Club. This Wednesday is Halloween episode. 3 books. We're reading Volume 1 of Corpse Party, Volume 1 of Pet Shop of Horrors, and we're reading the last 5 chapters of Abandon the Old in Tokyo. But if you go to Discord, you can find all the information there.
How about Anime Club?
Club will be October 21st. We talked about it earlier, but Serial Experiments Lane, 10 p.m. EDT. Love to see you there. You can find it over at Retro Crush.
All right.
That's it. Minerva, best girl.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, next week we're going to start impressions from the fall season. So this is always my favorite things that we do. So I'm really pumped up for that. And we have a special update for you on how we're going to be doing impressions going forward as well. We'll talk about that next week. But until then, guys, thanks for being our anime addicts. Thanks for contributing to the podcast. For those of you that do, if you don't, we still love you. Thank you so much. We're going to do a hentai episode right now. So for those of you that get those, you'll enjoy what we're going to be talking about. And for the rest of you, we will see you next week. Everybody take care. Bye-bye.
Have a good week, and watch out for witches pissing in your tea.
Stay classic.
Oh my
Those
God.
bodily fluids will get everywhere.
Bye, guys.